Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Before we get going, reminder, if you want to join the private group, and everything you watch here, including my extended video, is all ad-free. You got two options. One option is to go to daixrp.com if you want to join through the Patreon. The second option is go below any of my YouTube videos, click the join button right there. Cost of a cup of coffee. Today in the group, I'm going to, we see all kinds of price predictions. We see all kinds of shocking things and all this. And usually I either ignore them or I watch them and it's easily discredited. But there's one shocking price prediction that was put out by a major media source at one point and quickly deleted. I'm going to show you a video about that, and then I'm going to show you the confirmation that they actually did it. It's a pretty amazing thing, but we'll get to that. First, I wanted to show you this. This is the DC Blockchain Summit live stream. You can go to Rumble. It's the Digital Chamber channel, and they're live right now. This is I'm drawing a blank on this congressman's name. He was the one that was pictured with Brad Garlinghouse. I'll show you in a minute. I also wanted to bring to your attention that at the beginning on that Rumble channel there, Bitcoin Las Vegas is advertising big time. So when you go, you have to run through a couple of ads on Rumble, and it's advertising it over and over and over. And I wanted to make sure you all knew Bitcoin Las Vegas is going to be for 3 days in Las Vegas, and then the next 2 days is going to be XRP Las Vegas. You can go to xrplasvegas.com, and let me tell you, the plane tickets and the hotel rooms are going to become harder and harder to come by, and they're going to get more expensive with every passing day. We're on March 26th, and this stuff is happening at the end of May. It'll be here before you know it. If you're thinking about coming, you better go ahead and do it, xrplasvegas.com. Now, at the DC Summit, I found it very interesting. Donald Trump Jr. was asked to give his thoughts on crypto, and the first three major words out of his mouth were utility, U.S. Treasuries, and the PetroDollar. And I said up here, crypto, in my opinion, was always, and I've told you, I was told this years ago, that XRP was created to replace the PetroDollar and to prevent World War III. I think it was, and I think crypto itself was created to help solve this problem. The meme coins, the green candles, the cartoon monkeys is all a distraction. What is going to matter is the utility that helps the United States remain a superpower that's created by digital assets with utility. Listen to what he says.
Yeah, listen, I think general utility. I mean, I think everyone sort of just touched on it right now. When you talk about holding, treasuries, you see sort of the attack on what was always sort of the petrodollar over the last few months. This is really the stability that America needs. But as the Zacks, to perhaps use the office space, an analogy, as the Zacks and Chase would say, the amount of times in the last 2 years that we've been talking, and I'm trying to figure out, how to make something that should otherwise be simple, but perhaps isn't if you haven't been in the space for 10 years. It's sort of a name. So creating that utility, that ease of use that, perhaps a average, almost boomer like myself can figure out. I mean, that's my goal. I mean, I think obviously you can play big, on the real estate and the hard asset side and change up the banking system, but the utility, making it easy for everyone else to understand. It's not mystical. It's not sort of the meme coin space that my son plays in all the time. And, frankly, is probably one of the greatest tools I can think of today to teach young people entrepreneurship, to get them to understand how these systems work. It's so much faster. There's so much more excitement. Once they're vested and staked in that a little bit, they're actually paying attention. And I'm looking at these kids that are my son's age. They're 15, 16, 17 years old. They could run circles talking about liquidity with my buddies that graduated from Wharton with me who've worked at Goldman for 25 years. It's truly spectacular. But I think number one would be utility. If we can figure out how to make it easy to use, this is a no-brainer. And I think we're there. We're on that cusp. We just have to demystify some of that. We have to make it so that people don't just assume that you're gambling when you do this. These are real assets backed by U.S. Treasuries. It's just as safe as a bank account, but without all of that extra nonsense, without that inefficiency, without the tens of thousands of people throughout the system who are making seven figures. That honestly, I like them. I want them to be successful. They're friends of mine for years, but I'm not exactly sure what they do anymore. If you can, but that's true. That's 100%. We laugh, but there's probably trillions of just waste. In keeping these old systems alive. And to Chase's point, the banks and the banking system has managed to stick together because I think they all realize that if they don't, people will find another way. So they have this monopoly that's been very inefficient, but has controlled a lot of the power and has discriminated based on narrative talking points, however many boxes you check from a socioeconomic standpoint, who gets the benefit or not. So if you can create that utility, you can create that fairness. The sky is the limit for this. And so, I think we're there. And it's also why we're not just trying to reinvent some sort of new widget and do it better than everyone else, but frankly, bring everyone together, consolidate these great ideas, these great platforms, this incredible technology. If we can do that, and perhaps some of the value we add, is make it okay for the retail consumer who isn't as versed as everyone in the room, who there is some mystique to it. If we can simplify that down, give them the utility that they're looking for, that to me is the keystone for making this happen. And I think we're there.
We are there. Now look at this. This is Chris Giancarlo in front of Congress here.
So for 5 minutes, Commissioner Giancarlo, you mentioned one thing that we don't talk about enough in Congress. You mentioned the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency. I do believe the CFTC has played a vital role in keeping the dollar as the world currency, and your testimony would allude to that as well. Would you speak briefly, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, to what the consequences of the U.S. dollar not being the world currency would be for the United States citizens?
To my mind, it's not a coincidence that the founding of the CFTC coincides with the dollar going off the gold standard in the mid-1970s. When that happened, the world nations that held dollars suddenly had enormous risk of interest rate movements, of foreign exchange changes, that with the dollar no longer anchored to gold. It was the creation of financial futures by Dr. Sandor and others that allowed these markets to actually support the dollar in its truly fiat state, because now the world can hedge their risk of holding dollars, the interest rate, the risk, the foreign exchange risk in holding dollars. I will argue to you that the CFTC is really the agency that safeguards the dollar and its ability to be held by global nations around the world, and their holding of it is what makes it the world's reserve currency, allows us to fund that enormous debt that Dr. Sanders spoke about. So I think the CFTC plays this sleeper role. When I say pound for pound, Dr. Sander, it might even be better than 20-1, because if this agency is the agency that stands between the dollar service as a reserve currency and ending that service, I think it's a vital agency. It's you might remember that old story about the boy with his finger in the dike. We may be the boy or the child with the finger in the dike that's supporting the dollar as the world's reserve currency.
There's that word again, world reserve currency. I'm going to skip that one. Wanted to remind you, this is the guy that was on stage there at DC FinTech Week, and here he is at the What's Next Summit, Axios Summit, I guess.
Stablecoins is, if you think about it from a guy who's 50 plus years old, stablecoins is like having a traveler's check on blockchain. And so it creates access across the world, and it also democratizes in a powerful way. So as a kid who grew up in poverty in a single parent household, I always think about how important it is to make it easier for single mothers and people struggling to reduce their costs and have greater access. And the faster we get there, the easier it is for the average American to live their version of the American dream. And so the stablecoin legislation just takes a leap in that direction.
It's coming, folks. This is an interesting little clip from Chainlink. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Yeah, I am sure. It's Ryan Steele, the congressman, speaking. What does this sound like?
There's an array of use cases that are incredibly fascinating, right? So you think about the ease of cross-border transactions that can be done in the stablecoin sense. You can think of the benefits to the U.S. dollars being the world reserve currency.
There it is again.
Is an additional benefit in that regard. You can also think of other areas in the context of finance and collateral. A little bit of what you were talking about before. We think about jump out to one-off use case and in real estate transactions, and you think about the cumbersome process that we have with a lot of stickiness and an expensive transactional aspects. There's ways that as that goes on the chain that you could dramatically alter that. You could never go get a home equity loan for $5,000, right? Just you'd say the cost to go and get that home equity loan would outweigh anyone's interest in getting a $5,000 home equity loan. But if you start to think about putting this on the chain, you can see use cases where this could really upend in a positive way to consumers who may need quick access to capital. They don't have liquidity in their lives, but maybe they have a lot of equity in their home and they need that short-term loan. You can think of all sorts of use cases.
Alrighty. Then there was this, the LCX, this is from Bank XRP. LCX has submitted the world's first MiCA compliant white paper for XRP, now listed on the official ESMA register. Now XRP has admission to trading at the LCX exchange. You remember when the LCX CEO said this to Paul Barron?
What would be the future here for you guys if you were to choose now?
What I can tell you is it won't be on Ethereum because they need a different settlement layer, which is much faster and probably also offering a hybrid model between private and public disclosures. So if the Bank of America would step in, they don't want
Ripple partner
to disclose all their transactions like it is on Ethereum.
Well,
so it will be a hybrid
There is
model.
a blockchain out there. XRP Ledger would be a good one. You could go right there to it. and I like that. Okay.
That look says it all, right? Operation Choke Point 2.0 is not over yet. This guy says, without revealing any my sources, we still have one of our federal banking regulators, the Federal Reserve, telling banks directly they are not allowed to serve crypto clients or handle crypto flows. This must stop. So that's pretty interesting. Digital Pound Foundation, Ripple's London Policy Summit. Ripple has some pretty good friends in high places, don't they? This is from a Bitcoin handle. XRP trades at 245 with strong support holding near 240. Technical indicators show a bullish edge, but volume is the key. 1 hour, 4 hour, daily charts suggest consolidation. Moving averages heavily favor bulls. Oscillators remain neutral. Watch the breakout signals. I'm going to skip over this and we're going to go into the group. And I'll remind you, it's daixrp.com to join through the Patreon, and you can go below, click the join button if you'd prefer to join through YouTube. Extended videos, no advertising. And in this one, I'm going to show you one of these shocking, and I'm not saying it's getting to this price, but I'm going to show you a major news outlet that put out a shocking price, and I actually thought this is bull crap, it's not real. And I went and looked into it, and it actually did happen. I'm a digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Let's go shock you. Here we go.